AskReddit. Which brand has lost you as a customer? Bank of America. Their ATM was down, so I had to go in and deposit my check. Paid all of my bills and had pretty much no money. This was during college, and they hit me with a $10 service fee which overdrew my account, and then they charged me a $35 overdraft fee. So, $45 I didn't have because their machine was down. The person I talked to on the phone was a complete dick, and I decided to get rid of my account right then and there. He then gave me an attitude about cancelling. Duck that guy and duck Bank of America. Boa literally handed me a fake $100, and when I asked them to replace it with a real one they called the cops on me for trying to pass a fake bill. A fake bill they literally just handed me. The cops reviewed the footage and informed the teller and manager that they were at fault. The bank manager refused to acknowledge their mistake or apologize, so I closed my account. They had the nerve to try and retain me afterwards. Duck Boa. Movistar. Once they downgraded my phone on accident and later were unable to undo the downgrade because they can't replace a phone by another model, and kept me waiting for 2 months until I said duck it and bought another phone. Ticketmaster. 0.00034 seconds after tickets go on sale, sold out for all but Cosmically AFR seats, but their subsidiary StubHub has them for 400% more, but you need to pay an oxygen fee, electricity fee, left turning fee, reach around fee, before the fee to disclose fees. At least 50 shows that I've declined to go when I see that loathsome logo. Never ever going to pay them a dime, probably a fee for that too. Skullcandy. Their decent headphones are insanely overpriced and their cheap earbuds came apart in my ear, and I had to go to the med center to have it all removed. Victoria's Secret. In my 20s everything I owned was from Versus. Over time I realized the quality was declining, and the prices were absurd. I would have reactions to whatever they treated the fabric with, and that was the last straw. I stopped buying from them. Expedia. God help you if they ever make a mistake on your booking. Their entire customer service infrastructure is designed to stonewall and frustrate you until you give up, even when the problem is clearly their fault. Progressive. A lawnmower hit my parked car during work last year, and it was terrible dealing with Progressive. The claims agent I got stopped communicating with me after a certain point, and I ended up having to hound the lawn mowing company's owner to pay for my car's repairs. We cancelled Progressive when I called after a girl sideswiped me when I was not moving at a red light. I called and gave her policy info, was in contact with her, she called her agent, admitted fault. Shouldn't be a big deal. So I call, give her information, tell them what happened, and that they needed to have the car repaired. Ma'am, I don't see where this was the fault of Miss X. Well, my car was not moving, so it wasn't mine. Do you have a police report? We called the police. The officer would not write one because he said the damage wasn't severe enough. Well, I don't think we can file a claim just based on your word. Oh really? Because she fully admitted fault. No ma'am. That's not in my notes. Oh really? One way or another you guys are paying for this. No, ma'am. You need to file with your insurance. You guys are my insurance. Oh, let me look. Okay, I do see that she admitted fault, so this will not affect your rate. I switched companies the day I got my car back. Duck Progressive. Levy. Since they went public the quality has dropped considerably. I stopped buying Levis because their fit and sizing became incredibly inconsistent. There shouldn't be a 2-inch difference in front rise between two pairs of pants that are the same style and size. I went from Levis to Uniqlo. Cheaper, self-edge, good return policy, and the slim fit fits exactly like it's supposed to off the rack. Netgear. Buy one of their top-end routers, and when you need to update firmware, their automatic process corrupts on download ridiculously often, thus completely breaking it. Rather than fix it, or offer to replace or anything, they just say, oh, you should have done it manually, because that happens a lot. WTF kind of response is that? Ridiculous. DoorDash. After learning about the whole tipping situation, This article covers both of the reasons I cancelled my account. The tipping model they had was skipping the drivers and going to the company. They instituted a new policy, but drivers are reporting that nothing has changed. They also had a pretty significant data breach in May 4th, 2019, and didn't disclose until September 26, 2019. I will never buy Campbell's Chunky Soup ever again. When that brand was started I was hooked. I loved everything they made. They had this one that had like small little burger patties in it, ducking delicious. I ate at least one can a week. It was my go-to lunch as an unattached young adult male. Then they changed the recipe. Their meat turned to sheet. Every soup had a layer of grease on it. It was disgusting. I stopped buying their product and sent them an email about how they lost a lifelong customer. In their response back to me they apologized and gave me a gift to make up for it, a coupon to save 50 cents on a can of Campbell's soup. Super dry because my friend and I were once at a snowboarding festival and they were giving out free stuff like snow goggles etc. But their reps wouldn't give anything to us because we didn't fit the look. Edit. I know I'm not entitled to anything. It wasn't about getting free stuff. It was the quite clear message of you're not good enough. Adobe. I never liked their subscription model, and then when administering licenses, the keys themselves end up being corrupted, and then you have to go through a tedious process to have them all corrected again. Submodels on popular software always suck. Edit. RIP Embarks, and thanks for the gold. Sprint. Recovering from surgery, sedated in a hospital. Over 8 years ago, I had a pre-smartphone and no data plan. Accidentally pushed some sort of internet button that literally brought up Sprint's homepage. When the $450 bill arrived they refused to budge. I was within the 45-day cancel for full refund stage. This was a 2-year contract for my family of 6. I returned the phones and cancelled the agreement, but they refused to waive the internet charge. After talking on the phone with an escalation call center for over 4 hours I agreed to pay, but vowed they would never see another penny from me. One of a very small number of companies with a lifetime blacklist. I've paid my replacement carrier nearly $20,000 in the meantime. If Sprint ever merges with my carrier, they've tried a few times now, I will leave. If I go to a prepaid network, I will research to make sure whatever I use is not a rented Sprint network. Not one penny. And I tell this story to anyone that will listen. Jiffy Lube dudes punctured my oil filter when they changed it, eventually ran out of oil like 2 weeks later, and made me drag their ass through claims court to pay for repair. They did an oil change on my friend's car, but didn't put new oil in her car. This happened to a friend of mine too. Burned out her engine and had to have the whole thing rebuilt. Jiffy Lube offered her a coupon for 15% off her next oil changes compensation. Duck Jiffy Lube. My father's Acura had a stripped oil plug on the pan. The mechanic at the dealership he bought the car from years earlier sternly told my father that he had no choice but to pay for a new pan. He explained that someone must have stripped the threads on the previous oil change. My father sat there calmly nodding and asked how much it would be. When quoted some ridiculous price, my father said, "Since the only shop to change this vehicle's oil since I bought the car is this one, I guess you owe me a new oil pan." The look on the mechanic's face was of sheer dread. The way my dad tells it, you could tell the mechanic was trying to pass off his fuck up as someone else's. My father had a drivetrain warranty and religiously changed the oil at the same dealership he originally bought the car from. I wonder how often this happens, where a shady mechanic breaks something then blames it on a prior mechanic's work. Jiffy Lube charged me $160 to replace my windshield wipers when I was 16 and just started driving and didn't know any better. Went there like clockwork for regular oil changes. Right at 3,000 miles for about 18 months. Engine died in the car at about 80,000 miles. Guy who replaced the engine took the dead one apart and showed me the nasty sludge that should have been the oil. He said it looked like the oil hadn't been changed in years. Bastards. They tried to tell me that my cabin filter was really nasty looking on a car that doesn't have a cabin filter. They also always forgot to plug the air cleaner sensor back in on my husband's car, causing the check engine light to be on for about a day.